Okay, this might seem like the awkward place to do a watch review, but the only place I have time and space to do it. So I'm going to try to see if I can do this in 15 minutes or less. Alright, this is a double review of NTH Nacken Renegade and the NTH Nazario Ghost. And they're pretty much identical in most respects except for the bezel insert and the dial and handset. Of course, the general aesthetics are a little bit different in those areas, and the movement, they're both Miyotas. This has the 9015 and this is the 38. It's the one that does not have the date complication, so you don't have that ghost position. You know, you just pull to hack directly, and you don't have like that extra step in the middle that some models have because they're using the 9015. So that being said, we're going to concentrate on this guy first because it has the stock bracelet, and in almost all respects it'll be the same as this model over here. So what we have here is the NTH Nacken Renegade. There's a couple of models, and this is the one I like because of that really lovely dial. Just how dynamic it is. It almost looks 3D, like there's like a sphere inside there, and you see how it changes from like it's almost like a bright silver or gray, and then it goes to light blue, and it can go deeper. Sometimes it looks almost teal, and it goes even darker, like a dark blue, and even darker than that depending on what angle that you're looking at, right? And I really like that. And it's basically like a Fume dial where it kind of gets darker towards the edge, but if you notice closer, you can zoom up, it actually has a bit of a texture to it. Right there you can really see it, and that looks really cool. It's this vertical brush texturing that goes down there, and depending on the lighting you can get lots of it's a very dynamic dial, one of the most dynamic dials that I have that I've ever seen, and I've never seen a blue quite like this. And it's cool that it can kind of go to a navy almost, and then it can go bright like a bright blue. I like that. But before I get into that, the dimensions, let's just go over the quick dirty specs. 40mm case, 20mm lug space. The bracelet tapers down to 18, and the thickness is, I believe, 10.5, and the lug to lug, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 47 or 48 at most. So it's relatively short. Screw down crown, screw down case back, sapphire crystal, stainless steel insert that's been I think it's been IP coated or something black. BGW9 fill in the indices, BGW9 Lume on the dial and the handsets. A date at the 6, and drill lug holes for easy strap changes. This thing works well on a lot of straps. It comes with a stainless steel bracelet, quite nice. Plenty of micro adjusts, and that's all I need. I don't need to glide lock or anything to adjust on a fly, although that would be cool. But for me, I've never found it a problem to find the size that fits my wrists almost all the time, because to be honest, I don't really have like a wrist size that expands and contracts all that much. Back is pretty simple, nothing special here. 120 unidirectional, 120 click unidirectional bezel, very nice action. This is one of the best bezels I've ever experienced, because it just clicks so positively and into place, and there's no back play. And what's great about this bezel as well is that you notice that See, it actually angles down, so the edge is actually relatively thin, which I like. But with such a narrow, thin surface area, if you didn't have the right grip on this, it could be a pain in the ass to turn. But as you see, the edging is very cleanly cut, very straight and angular. I wouldn't say there's any hot spots, but it really does dig and grip into your finger prints to get good positive grip. Sorry about the focus. And so you don't need much to just touch it and turn, and it just does it. And it's very good action. And I've owned 3 NTHs. This is my third, second, and I had another Nazario before that, was the second gen or second version, which had the white full lume dial, stainless steel, red accents, blued hands, gold seconds. Really nice. I actually like that one a lot, but for whatever reason I didn't keep it. You can look at my review on that. I have one a little while back. So with that in mind, yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of the specs. Solid aim links, solid bracelet links, and no clasp. At least this part is, I guess, considered stamped, but it's alright. It does the job. It keeps it nice and thin. Good snap. It's very it's a very secure clasp and buckle. And what else? Screw hardware so that you can easily change the links to size with just a small screwdriver. And as you can see here, all the links are individual, whereas most of the time you'll find oyster style bracelets where these 3 are basically joined and they don't really flex, you know. They move as one piece, whereas these are all separate. So it's a very comfortable bracelet. Nicely done. It's brushed all around, which I like. I prefer brush finish over high polish. But it's nice to have high polish like on the edges, just to accent some of the edge and details of the watch, but not overly. I'm not into high polish that much. And I'll just do a lume shot of these at the very end. I'll probably slip it in later. It's too bright right now. That dial is the real killer thing about this particular model. I really like it. You get a lot of different kind of looks with this, and it all works very good. And you gotta love the thin profile. And the dome on all these is ever so slightly domed, if you can see. You can see that. It's ever so slightly domed, which is just good enough. I like that. And it's good that it has the date at the 6, so it maintains symmetry. They have a date version, or no, this is a date. They have a no date where, you know, you get another baton marker here, but I didn't want that ghost position, and because the date's down here, it's executed quite nicely and maintains symmetry both in day and nighttime. You know, it just looks right. And this thing works really nice on the wrist. Go down, right, and like that. Got nice curvature. My wrist is 6.875 inches. Let me zoom out just a tiny bit. It's a little bit more perspective. Yeah, I'm doing this in between my car seats, but again, I don't have a lot of time when I get home, so I gotta do it now. And yeah, and this wears very similarly, of course, because the K shape is essentially the same in all respects, but we'll get into the details what make it different. So yeah, this Miyota has been very accurate. I had to dial it in a little bit more to my liking. I think when I got it was about +4 seconds, but right now, after 3 days, it's barely budged a second. So it's pretty good and consistent as long as I wear it. And I find that when you wear it, it actually holds consistency versus just laying it down. Right? You would think it would be more stable if you just laid it down, but I guess I've adjusted it to be more accurate and consistent when it's being worn and used, which is actually what you want, right? It makes no sense to be accurate on the table or sitting in your watch box, because you're not going to be looking at it or using it. It's most efficient and best when it's on the wrist and you actually use it, right? So that's that. Oh yeah, and the crown, give our focus on here, is lumed. They made it darkened so it's not so like a darkened lume, so it's not as obvious, but it does glow blue BGW9 as to does pretty much everything you see here that looks, you know, like white accents and everywhere, except for the NTH and the logo and the name and everything in there. That does not lume. Yeah, some people don't like this. I guess this is considered a male lug end piece, how it kind of comes out down like that. I don't mind. I don't have any preference between this and the ones that where the center link actually goes into it. I guess it's more of a female, and so you get that bend kind of where the or that pivot where the spring bars would go through. Honestly, this is a natural curve of the watch anyways, and unless your wrists are super skinny where the bracelets are pulling this way, or super fat and wide where it goes down and then straight out, most angles of this curvature is going to fit just fine. This really, whether there's a solid or pivots there, has no contribution in my eyes to any comfort or discomfort of a bracelet on a wrist. It's mostly, I think, how the main body of it, which is the links, and probably the clasp is designed, that will affect that. Okay, so but you know, you have your preferences. I kind of like this more because when you do it like this piece can be a little bit more solid and protrudes a bit, so it just gives a little bit more like depth and little structure, I guess, rather than just a flat piece that just has these fake kind of it just has a simple groove or something that's relatively smooth. This gives it a little bit more undulation, you know, ups and downs like that. And I guess that's about it. That's 300 meters water resistance. Power reserve, I don't know, probably less than 2 days, or roughly around there. It's Miyota 9015. You can find the specs on that. Let me see if I can bump up the ISO. No, I should try and do something here. Hold on. Let's go over the NTH Ghost. This is relatively new, as of what is it right now? It's September 2019. Kind of about a month ago or so, maybe 2 at most. This is the 4th generation or 4th version of the Nazario. It's a watch gauge exclusive, which if I can show you, maybe there should be a watch gauge logo back here. You see that right there in the middle? Yeah. So it's only sold through watch gauge, and it's collaboration with NTH, so they have this special model through them. And originally it was, the first version was black dial and stainless steel bezel, basically more or less based off of a very rare and expensive Rolex Zerograph. Just look that up. And the white version that came afterward was very similar to that, because there was a white version of the Zerograph as well. Then there's the Nazario, that was the Nazario, the first one was just Nazario, then Nazario Sauro, S-A-U-R-O, which was the white dial, and then the Azzurro, which is the blue version that came out before this, the 3rd version, and it has a blue, nice blue dial, I think bezel, some red accents, some probably a little bit of white. And this is the first version that is all black, even, and the main thing is that the indices are more skeletonized or outlined, and so it has a particular effect which I'll show you later. But I like it. It's a very clean look. I don't see too many watches that look like this. It's not your typical black dial, black bezel diver. You know, that's very most of them would probably look like a Submariner of some sort, right? The lume is BGW9, fully lumed in the bezel, also stainless steel, and all the indices, even the small ones, and Nazario actually looms up here, and the insides of the cathedral style hands loom up. And I mentioned the crown. All other respects it's the same. I think it looks pretty. It comes with this bracelet too, but I've been liking it on straps, black ones. I have a few. If you check my Instagram and some posts in the Facebook group, you'll see some of the stuff that I've paired it with, and it looks cool. I think because of this very clean, it's not fully graduated bezel, and there's something about this California dial, which is not for everyone, but I like it. It can loan itself to being dressed up, or at least casual dress, with the right pairing of strap, I think, such as leather. Not this particular one because it's NATO, but maybe a two-piece, which I've done in before I put this one on. It's a very cool design, and like all NTHs, they all are built very good. The bezel action is all the same as far as I'm concerned that I've ever experienced. So it's very clicky, but there's no back play. The grip's all good. It's very consistent across all the models. So if you like one, you can expect the same quality from pretty much all of them, as far as I can tell. What I've experienced with 3 different models. But they call this a Ghost not only I think because of the way these are outlined, but if you can catch it in the right light, right there, see the NTH, and actually there's probably harder to see, but right there, 300 meters, it says 1000, the hand's covering it, the specs there, that actually kind of just shows up because it's black, but I think it's a gloss paint, so it only shows up at certain angles. So otherwise it looks clean, but it does kind of ghost in and ghost out. That's the Ghost. But that's pretty much the difference. You know, I definitely would recommend these. It's a pretty good price. The Miyota movement, some people gripe about, oh, it's too much for a Miyota movement, but you know what, there's much more that goes into a watch, you know, the design. And Miyota's solid. It can be made very accurate. As far as I can tell, these are probably pretty well in sync, as you can see. So you can bet that they've been holding time really good, and they have. Very consistent, easy to service, and if needs be, you could probably just swap it out and probably be easier than just getting it serviced. So I wouldn't worry about that. That's solid. Some people complain about the rotor wobble, but because it's unidirectional, but I don't feel it enough. I don't even hear it enough. Some other watches may exhibit these features of a Miyota automatic movement, but these don't. So, in conclusion, if you want a 40mm watch, which is a great size, and 10.5 millimeters thick, relatively short lug to lug, drilled holes on the cases for easy strap changes. You can't lose with NTH. They got lots of models, and they just released 3 more new ones as of today or recently. The Amphion, I think Vanguard, and something like a Kontiki or something like that. But these are 2 of my current favorites. Yeah, I'm going to conclude what we're going to say here, but just look at the butt end of this video. I'm going to record and show you the Lume video of these, which they're very reactive and they last throughout the night for sure. So that's it. Gotta go. See you later. And done. Okay, here is the Lume shot as promised. Obviously the left is the Renegade and the right is the Ghost California dial. Get closer, and yeah, it's got great lume. You can kind of see from the side. The crown does lume. Hold on a second. Okay, just wanted to give the side crown just a little extra charge. You can see they do lume up too. Because they're darkened lume, you know, not just white, they're kind of black or gray. It's obviously probably not going to last quite as long, although I still can kind of make it out late at night. But definitely what's great about these is the bezel, the dial, and the handsets actually do have a pretty even and uniform intensity of glow. And yeah, from midnight till way in the morning, even daybreak, I can see this. Of course, all Lume will eventually dim as such, but the important thing is when it dims to an acceptable level where you can still make it out with as least amount of eye strain as possible, and that it actually lasts long too. And this stuff does. I put it up against my Seikos. You know, Seiko Lumen Bright's pretty much the benchmark for most modern Lume. Although there's supposedly better stuff now, like some X3C something. I don't know. There's some really long names, like what Christopher Ward uses these days. They have a new Lume formula, but whatever. There's now very few bad Lume examples these days, and yeah. And the intensity might be fading out according to this camera, but in actual life, with your eyesight and everything adjusted, you can still make out all this. Of course, the California dial won't be as intense because it's hollowed out. It's got thinner applications, but actually, surprisingly, it does actually still glow, and you can still kind of make it out enough to, in conjunction with the handset, that you'll be able to register the time. That's pretty much about it. So yeah, I mean, if you want a good Lume 2 in a watch, definitely you're going to get that with the NTHs. They don't only just use BGW9, but they do use like C3 too. It just depends on the application, and if it's like vintage Lume, I guess it's not C3. I'm not sure what it is, but it probably won't be as intense. But I have a little doubt that it'll probably still work pretty good. So yeah, that's about it. So I hope you enjoyed this, and that's my take on this stuff. All right, thanks.